Hi everyone, Jenny here. Today, Justin is on a road trip, so I don't know if he will be joining us. So we'll just wait and see. But it is Thursday, so I thought, well, we'll do a live alone. And I was thinking, what can we talk about? So I've done some Feng Shui consultations for single dads. And one single dad told me he's divorced and has 2 children and was in a new relationship. And after a divorce, it's extremely painful to go through a divorce. And I don't know the reason for his divorce, and that's, something that was more confidential, so I didn't go there. But he was trying to start a new life. This is a new beginning with this woman that he kind of was feeling very comfortable with and was ready to take on another, I would say, a long-term serious relationship. And so he wanted to make sure that his house was suitable. He didn't want to go through another heartbreak, because it was a very painful experience. And so we did a walkthrough through the house. Very, very nice house with a backyard, 3-bedroom. And we looked around. Really nice flow. As you entered into the house, it made a kind of loop, and I like loops. It just makes the house feel, the energy flows, when the house has a kind of loop. So the kitchen is in the middle, and then you come out, and then you can go through and the bedrooms, and it's very simple and very straightforward. And that's what we like. We like homes that are not complicated, because when they're complicated, that means the energy also has to flow in a complicated manner, and that makes your life complicated. And so what we try to do is, it's like a river. When your river flows smoothly and the path is very clear, it's easy to flow. But when it's all crooked and it's like a maze, then you get confused. Well, same thing as a house. The floor plan shouldn't be like a maze. It should be very straightforward and simple. So that was one thing that I looked at, and it was very good. Another thing is, sometimes the father does not have the children. The mother has the children. So the father has to have a place where the children can come to visit and make it feel like home. A lot of times when a man becomes single, he decides on some place that's very, what would you say, oriented toward one person. And that's understandable. They're one person, they have to watch their budget. They don't need the extra space. But if you do have children who come and visit you, you have to make it feel like they are welcome. And it's their home too. So they have to be able to come in and maybe have a place. I had another client who had a small child, and he shared, custody of this child. And I said, have her play area. Make sure she has her space. So when she comes here, and obviously she had her own room, and her room had all her stuffed animals. So she felt like it was home, but she also had a little play area that, it was her home. But if she didn't have that, she wouldn't feel like it's home. It would feel like she's going to daddy's house, not my house with daddy. And I think it's important for children to feel welcome and to feel that they are still part of their father's world. So that was one thing. We made an effort to make the children feel welcome, and so he can continue to have a good relationship with not only his new partner, but also with his children. And I think a lot of times for children, when their parent, whichever parent, finds someone else, it's quite heartbreaking, and then you think, well, maybe they're going to forget about me because they found somebody new, and that's totally understandable. So, oh, somebody is here. Let's have them join. Hi. Somebody's here joining me. So I wanted to say welcome. and it says Taoist Designs. Welcome. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Oh, hi. Welcome. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for joining me. Where are you from?
I live in Washington now, but I'm actually originally from the Bay Area in California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think we're neighbors.
Oh, very good. Very good.
I'm happy to listen in and just observe, so thanks for having me.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I was just talking about single dads, you know, and how the Feng Shui works for that. So a lot of times we have relationship issues and we want to make sure those relationships are good. Another thing to think about is when you have children, you know, if they have that spot that they feel this is their home. But one thing I also emphasize, I did another Feng Shui for another gentleman who was divorced and who wanted to spend more time with his children, because what happened was after his divorce, he kind of lost touch with his children. And so he wanted to see if Feng Shui could help him bring his relationship with his son back together. So one thing I noticed was he lived in an apartment because he was on his own and he didn't have any kind of relationship. Was he ate at the counter by himself, and that's no problem if you're by yourself. But when he had his child over, the problem was they had no dining space, and so they couldn't really eat or converse together. And he didn't create an environment which made it comfortable for them to eat and talk together. So I think it's really important to have a dining table. You know, I think a lot of men in general think, I don't need a dining table. I'll just eat at the counter. And I know that because my sons are like that. You know, they think, hey, why do I need a dining table? I can eat at the counter. But if you do have a relationship, it's good to have a table, and it's good to be able to see the person across you or next to you instead of side by side. The energy is different. And when you're side by side, your eyes are going forward. It's not going to the person when you're eating. So the communication sometimes gets affected. So what is good is if it's in an L shape, so you can see each other's faces, because we have body language, we have facial language, and it's a good way of communicating by looking at those things, to be aware of their energy. And the other good option is if you can sit across someone. So then you're looking toward each other and your energy means you are communicating. And it seems really simple and really basic, and think, well, is that really going to make a difference? It does make a difference. It's just, the energy that we are, what are we saying? Letting off from our body language. Okay, I got a little message here from Justin a while back on his WhatsApp, and he said that he is going to join us. He's in the car right now. His phone ran out of battery. So Justin, so he said he will join us wherever he's going. So hopefully he'll join us in a little while. So back to our table story. So also, even in a household, if you have mom and children, you got to think of how you communicate with your kids. Are you communicating, or are you one way? So the parent is kind of telling the child what to do, or are you bringing them in? For example, I like to, for example, in a kitchen, I think kitchens are really important, and it kind of, your form, the way your kitchen is laid out can create your relationship with your child. If you have a very high counter and somebody's behind the counter and you're always serving someone, like in a restaurant, like the sushi chef, he's behind the counter. He's controlling what you eat. I mean, I used to go to eat sushi when I lived in Tokyo in my youth. My husband and I used to go and eat sushi at our local sushi shop about once a week. We were sushi lovers. And we became very close with our sushi chef, and he used to come over to our house. But he is in control, because he's standing up, you're sitting down, so the eye line is coming down like this, so his energy is looking down towards you, and he says, so what do you want? And we look up to him, and when we look up to him and we say, we leave it up to you, as they say, omakase kosu, and he decides what fresh fish he has for the day, and then he gives us his best stuff, right? So in the same situation, if you're in the house, in the kitchen, and your kitchen is laid, so then you have this high counter and you're serving your children, the children will expect to be served, right? So what I like to do is get rid of that height and this one way. And if you can create it where you're equal and you have a table and the energy is equal, and then the children learn to participate and also learn to cook, because that's a really important skill in life, is learning how to cook. And I think that, you know, because there's so many conveniences, many people don't cook. In Asian family, we like to cook together, and we like to pass down family recipes or whatever. And like we sit in a big table and make dumplings together. And my Iranian friend was saying, you know, that in old Iran too, they used to have a big table, and then all the women will sit around and they would make their delicacy, whatever that delicacy is. And I think that's a very, very good tradition. So in the same way with your own family, and even if you're a man and you've got children, it doesn't mean you know you have to be a woman to do this. You can learn to make things together. You know, for example, meatballs, or you know, even gyoza. I mean, I taught my kids how to make gyoza. Not that they're very good at it, but at least they can do it. And it's a simple activity, and that they can carry on with them for a very long time. So to create the environment is what I would like to say, the purpose of Feng Shui. We'd like to create an environment so that they can participate, and you have this better connecting energy. So I forgot what your name was. Taoist Design.
Oh, it's Ashley.
Ashley. Ashley, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's so important. I think reciprocity at the dinner table is something that can lack. And I think that the more inviting, welcoming, communal it is, the better. And I think that, you know, kitchens are so important to Feng Shui, as are living rooms and entry points, obviously. But the kitchen has always been the heart of the home, just like the fireplace when we were, you know, before we had structures and houses, the way that we'd communally gather around a fireplace. And
right.
That is, you know, the fire energy is so vital to the human experience.
Yeah, that's great. Great. So I think, yeah, having a dining table is step one. But it's amazing. A lot of people don't have a dining table.
That's very true. Yeah, we're kind of in a society now where everything's rushed and people just kind of grab food to eat it and just gobble it down and then go on to the next task. Whereas really food should be, you know, savored, cooked with thought and care, and like really nourishing of the body. And sometimes that gets overlooked with other things, but it is so important because it really does feed so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think the problem is this.
Yeah, our ball and chain.
Yeah, it's really disrupted the old traditions, you know, of actually, I don't know about you if you have children, but that was one rule we said, that no phones at the table, you know, no phones while we're eating. And that was one way to try to keep the phones. Otherwise, the kids are on the phone the whole time and you're not communicating with them, you know, because they're too busy communicating with their friends, you know?
Yeah. And even the medium of communication with the phones when they're communicating with their friends isn't the same as having, you know, in-person, face-to-face chat. And so their energy is missed when, you know, it's all telecommunication or Facebook or online. There's so much missed through interpretation and, you know, just, you were saying that earlier, the body language, the cadence, the, you know, seeing each other. And so it's an important factor.
Yeah, I know we're under, you know, lockdown right now, so you can't see people in person, and it's difficult for many of us. Yeah. For example, I'm in a Toastmasters group, and we used to meet at the local community college, but the local community college is closed and we're not allowed to meet. So we've moved on and started Zooming. Yeah, which is nice, but like in Zoom, I mean, it's this high, right? You don't get the whole body, you know?
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
don't get the whole body. And you can get so much from a like this. You can, see someone and you can show so much expression and body language, but your lower half also has body language,
Yeah, absolutely. And the energy exchange, even if we're 6 feet apart, we can still kind of read each other if we're in person versus through a
That's
screen.
right.
So
That's right. It's like when you go into a house, if you're going to go look for it, if you're shopping for a house or you go into a friend's house, you step in there and you feel the vibe, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a really good practitioner can really download the energy. And then
Yeah.
once they get to know the client, they read the client's energy and they kind of see where's the client at this point in their life that this home can support them, where can it not? And so, my practice generally looks at every house as being supportive in one way or another. There is no
Yes.
really bad feng shui. I don't believe in that kind of like negative cursed omens of a house. I think that's a little bit fear mongering, but
Okay.
yeah, just you can definitely get an energy download when you're in it. And so this kind of new normal of remote consults and having everything online is just so different, and it's
It
something that
is.
we kind of have to get used to.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely. But
yeah.
I think it's really true of doing something virtual is not as you can't get that same type of feeling as being actually in the space.
Yes, I think we're just exercising a different muscle that I personally haven't had to exercise before with remote consultations.
Yeah, I've
So
never. I've done some for interiors, not feng shui, but some I did a little bit. But I mean, it's very different. It's a
it is
very different.
different.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
different. Um, I think when you go into a space, it's also the 3D element
Yes.
that makes a difference because we're on the screen, it's only 2D.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think the difference comes in. The
Yeah, so
energy.
I'm curious to see where technology will take us with this because it is, progressing so quickly. And I actually send out 360 cameras to my clients and I have them set it up in their room so that they can take a full picture for me and I can feel like I'm walking into the space. So I'm
Oh,
really trying to utilize the technology to help me get to the place where I can actually do an accurate energy reading because it is really hard with 2D. You could do it, but I don't feel comfortable putting my name on something that I can't really, harness and really understand to the degree that I would want.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
So you have
hopefully,
a camera that you send them? I don't understand that.
yeah, I have a 360 camera that I'll send to the client. I'll, let them know how to prop it up and then we'll hop on a Zoom call. But it takes a 3D visual of, or sorry, 360-degree camera of each room. And so they can kind of walk through their space and I just have a more perceptive view of their area versus, taking a picture of each corner and then I kind of have to piece it together. It
Oh,
feels more balanced and the movement is a little bit easier to read.
well, can't they do a live with their phone?
They can do live, but I found that they move a little too quickly because it's their home and I would
Oh,
have to take more of a directorial approach to it, which I'm happy to do. But the 360 camera, I can kind of like visualize it in my own time and like really read the energy of what's going
mm-hmm,
on in there. And so it kind of plops me in the middle of the room as best as I
mm-hmm,
can being remote.
mm-hmm. That's very
Um,
creative. Very good.
yeah, so I'm trying to kind of see what is the future of feng shui? What does it look like if we're doing it remotely
Mm-hmm.
now? And these energy reads and reading the energy of the person is so important too. It's not just the house.
That's right. That's right. That's why we look at the form defines energy of the human body.
Yes.
The face, the hairstyle, you know, what they're wearing. It can give you an idea of who they are, you know.
Yeah.
And in form school, we also say the front of your house, what the house looks like from the street
Yes.
is also like your face.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is it welcoming? Is the smile big? Is the door big enough for the house? Is it proportional to the facade? And yeah, I mean, we're constantly communicating through what we wear, how our hair is done one day,
Right.
are we pale because we've been inside a little too long? Are we sun-kissed because we're really enjoying nature? And so,
Mm-hmm.
yes, so many variations. And I just love it. It's so fascinating to me.
It is fascinating to me too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But it's true. Like a lot of times you go to someone's home and then you kind of get a peek into who they are
absolutely.
when you
Yeah.
go when you get invited into the home.
Yeah.
And so
They're kind of internal worlds.
right,
You know, if there's generally, I find if there's a lot of stuff, then, you know, maybe there's a little bit more scarcity of like, will I be able to get the next thing? Let me save this just in case. And so there's the constant communication, and it really is displayed in our very intimate areas. Like home is a very intimate part of who we are. Not everybody gets to see that. And so as a practitioner, it's an honorable invitation to be able to see someone's house and to connect with the client, and, you know, not just design it for interior design necessarily, but design it for what it is that they're wanting in their life and what it is they want to manifest and bring in.
Right. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And we all want different things, you know, it's not like there's only one way, you know.
No.
There's a lot of different ways and a lot of different lifestyles, and, you know, and that's okay. And that's how it should be.
Absolutely. I think that should be honored, really. Yeah, different people, different times. I personally, even as a person, I don't like anything that's too prescriptive, because it just doesn't honor the human and how different we all are, and our differences and the way we think and where we are in our evolution, and, you know, how our opinions can change over time. And so I always find that time stamping someone to who they are at the moment is not doing them justice.
That's great. That's great. I think that's like, you know, in Form School is from Dr. Zhu's teaching. We do a lot of study on the principles of yin yang. Oops, somebody's here. Oh wait. Oh, Justin made it. Sorry, Ashley. This is Justin. Wait, there he is. Connecting to audio. Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Justin.
How you doing?
Oh, I was thinking, oh, did you get a beard? But it's a mask. Sorry.
Oh, I do have a beard also.
Oh, beard. Facial hair.
Yeah, it's a little noisy. But I was on the road and my dad invited me to get some lunch, and my phone ran out of battery. I didn't know, so I'm
You're using the restaurant to charge your phone.
Yeah, so I won't be staying too long. It's very noisy.
Okay. But I just want, we have, Ashley is on the call with us.
Hi there.
Justin.
Nice to meet you virtually.
Oh, nice.
Thanks for having me.
No,
Let me see how much battery do I have. See if I can unplug myself. I will. I have. Give me a minute.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm moving. Okay. Trying to get away from the speakers.
Oh, actually, we couldn't hear. I mean.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you better.
Yeah, sorry, I was moving away from the speakers.
How nice. You're having a beer in the sun. Very envious here.
It's good, you know, the day is turning up right. I was not feeling very good this morning.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why?
Yesterday I didn't have water. They are shutting off the water one day and there's water the other day. So yesterday I was like, it was for me a very busy day doing so many stuff. So I was all sweaty. It was so hot. And you know, when it's hot, I take 4 showers in a day. And yesterday I was with a little cup and a big bucket of water. And so
is it like a government thing that they had to shut off the water?
The government decided to do that because it was very dry and there were droughts, like so. But I don't know. I you know me. I go with the flow. I don't watch too much news. If there's no water, there's no water. It's just that today I woke up very sticky. You know, the water came at 10:30. And I'm very busy. I'm doing a lot of stuff. So, but it's good. So I don't want to take too much time of your video.
That's okay. No, but it's kind of interesting for me because it's like the government just shut it off. You know, it's like that's a strange concept for me, you
Yeah,
know?
it's like okay, people. So tomorrow you will not have water in the whole day until the other day at 9 a.m.
I
And
think in
then at 9
America,
a.m. you don't get it.
well, you're part of America, but I think if we did that in Washington State, I mean, the protests would be amazing.
But you know, there's many things going on. There's the COVID, and I don't know.
Yeah, and you're supposed to wash your hands. Hello.
The craziest thing is that I live in an island. People, for you that don't understand what an island is, we're surrounded of water. Very small place surrounded of water. I don't know why they need to shut off water. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. There's a big ocean. We have the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean, and the government don't sponsor desalination factories. I think it's related to the corruption. I don't know. Maybe they have many friends making money in the way that the system is working now. So
I
change
see.
that and invest new money in
Well,
desalinated
desalination
water.
obviously costs a lot of money.
Yes, but you know it's what it is. As I said, this is where I live. I'm grateful to this land, and I just go with the flow.
Good for you. Good for you.
Mango
Go.
tree above me. Mango.
Ooh,
Nice.
beautiful.
Nice. But like I lived in Kuwait where they do have desalination plants because it's in the desert. And, we didn't drink the water, but, you bathed in the water, you washed everything, you did your laundry, but we didn't drink it. Drinking water was
Yeah.
separate. But you, you have to kind of use that if you're in the desert, I mean, you don't
Yeah.
have a choice. No rain.
And part also of living in harmony with your environment, in balance with
Mhm.
whatever you are, your location, your surroundings. It's know how to use properly what that place is offering you. Like for example, if you get sick by something in this
Mhm.
land also has the cure for that specific sickness.
Mhm.
So, for example, if there's drought, if it's not raining, this land has so many bodies of water where you can keep nourishing the rest of the land or yourself because are like reserves of water. That's like a lake or a pond. So Puerto Rico has many bodies of water,
Mhm.
and you know, part of living here is not understanding how to use all those resources properly.
Mhm.
But you know, nowadays the resources are based on how much money I can get from this. So they are not very well used. So
Mm.
that's why even though I live in an island, I don't have water.
Mm. It's a very strange world we live in. But it's kind of good if that happens to you, you all of a sudden appreciate what you have, and
Yeah,
we take a lot of things for granted, I think.
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's I have a friend that she call it contrast. This is the contrast of life. Like there are many. Maybe it's an experience that you don't like, but it helps you to make the other experiences to pop up and then you can enjoy them more. Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, I want to
Yeah.
show you. There's a chicken right here in front of me.
You're gonna show me wildlife.
Look,
Where's the
it's,
chicken? Oh, they're just hanging out.
Oh, how
it was
cute.
sleeping. It's a fighting cock.
Oh, I
You,
see.
you see the leg?
Yeah.
That's a Puerto Rican fighting cock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
What's
I
so
don't want to
nice
get
to
too
see
close.
that
I don't
is
want to fight
it's
him.
so natural. We kind of
Yeah,
lost when you're in a city, you kind of lose that connection to nature.
And how the
well,
animals are in their natural element.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm next to the airport. Here in Isla Verde, next to the international airport. I came to a restaurant here, and this is the parking, and you see fox, and oh look, it's eating.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of nice part of South America or Central America. It's still, a lot of it is in a natural state, you know. Um,
Mhm.
I think we've lost a lot of that in America, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Um.
In Hawaii, it used to be like that, but now it's so built up, you don't see much of that until you go way out in the countryside, you know.
The
Mhm.
thing is that even its colors looks. This is a very beautiful picture. I'll take a screenshot.
Yeah, that is a beautiful color. You got the red pot and the blue background. They're
Mhm.
Hola.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I am recording a chicken eating.
Yeah. But I think, living in harmony is, what we're trying to do within our home, within our own limitations. We're not all, in that
Hmm.
kind of environment. And some of us are in a big city in an apartment. So,
Yeah.
we don't have that kind of a connection with nature. So what we have to do is to create our own harmony within the limitations of what we have.
Yeah.
I
But
think
Jenny,
it's very human to do that too, to really yearn for nature and connection to our environment. I mean, even if you're in a high rise in the middle of Manhattan, we're still wanting to, I mean,
Mhm.
it's human nature to really want to bring it in and absorb it, because that is where we get our energy. We are earth creatures. We have been forever.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Even
that's
our
right.
pets are an extension to the animal kingdom.
That's
Our
right.
dogs, our cats, our birds, when we watch cat videos online, or, trying to connect with our environments.
Mhm. Mhm. But I
Yeah.
think it's the
Feng
energy
Shui.
might shift, from this big city thing into a more natural environment. It might shift because
Yes.
of the, situation that we're in. More people working from home instead of having to go into the city for work. That's going to shift how people see their own living environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
It changed the energy. Like just by going out and these kind of things, it helps. But Jenny, I gotta go because my
Okay.
food arrived and I'm running out of battery again.
Okay.
I'm at 2% and I got something to eat,
Mm.
like some shrimp.
Oh, that looks good.
That looks delicious.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Bon appetit.
Enjoy.
but yeah, I hope this short intervention of myself in your video can
Yeah, it was great. It
bring
was
some
great.
enlightenment to other people.
It was great. Okay, enjoy your lunch. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week,
Enjoy.
Justin.
Bye.
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 In and out. That was fast.
Yep, nice cameo.
Yeah. Yeah. But see, it's so true, to see somebody from a completely different environment, um, and how their approach to life and how we have to approach our life, depending where we live. So in Feng Shui, it's how your living environment affects you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
where you choose to live, because we could
Is
be anywhere on this
important.
planet,
Yeah.
and we are where we are, and we can move a couple times in our life, or maybe several times, but wherever you are, you try to make the best of it and learn the lessons of why you're there and how you've adopted the place. And
So I'll ask you, Ashley, were you in California most of your life? Are you from California?
I'm from California, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my parents are Vietnamese immigrants, and they came over in 77. And so I was born in California, and yeah. And I've actually, you mentioned earlier kind of like migrating after COVID. I actually moved up to Washington because, the Pacific Northwest is so beautiful, the trees, the scenery. And so the pace of life is different, which is nice for me too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. Like I grew up. Well, I was born in Honolulu, but I grew up in Tokyo, so it's a very big kind of city life.
Yes.
And then now I live in the country, and I never imagined myself in the country.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny how it reminds me of Hawaii.
Hmm.
Some of the mountains, and some of just the open space, the countryside of Hawaii, it's very lush and green
Yes.
because of it's tropical. So it's very comfortable in a different sense for me, that being in this kind of environment.
Maybe more
And I think it's,
familiar.
huh?
Quite familiar.
Yeah, it does feel like I'm kind of going home. And I think maybe
Yeah.
eventually when I'm older, I may go home, I
That
don't
does
know.
happen a lot. They talk about pilgrimage. It's from the beginning of time, just walking and going back to square one where we came
Mhm.
from, and I think life tends to move so fast now that we're trying to get to the next step, the next step, the next step. But really, the next step is coming back around to where we came from, and birth to death,
Mhm. Mhm.
really,
Yeah, and I
and how
think
we choose to spend the time between those 2 points.
that's right. That's right. And what, life throws at us, we just gotta
Yes.
take it. Whatever comes.
Yeah, you catch it, you pivot, you move out of the way.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So have you been back to Vietnam at all?
I have.
Oh,
Yes.
good.
Yeah, I have a couple Taoist teachers there that I study with, and just very interesting, just the lineage of learnings and teachings. And some teachings are so timeless and
Mhm.
so just in tune with who we are as human beings, and they don't really care for technologies or what the day is like now or how the world presents itself. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really interested in the kind of the deeper philosophies of life, and so I really enjoy hearing the themes in all these different cultures.
Mm.
You know,
I think I'm in a way similar to you. I'm fascinated with the old, Chinese teachings of philosophy, and I think a lot of it had been suppressed, and especially, in China, and a lot of it has had issues on translation.
yes,
So it's kind of interesting to see how we are so far ahead in technology, yet we lost so many of the old ways of doing things.
the older traditions, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So in Japan too, there's a lot of temples and shrines, and they have a lot of I don't know how would you say. For example, there's a big tree in the temples in Japan, and around the tree they have this kind of white paper ornament on it.
uh-huh,
And you know, a lot of old Japanese philosophy is, nature is God,
yes,
and so that's a way to protect the tree as
mm-hmm.
well as showing respect to the tree. And these
Yes,
are big trees, so they, been around for hundreds of years, and it's just to look at a tree like that
yes,
is just different, you know,
yeah,
from a Western way of it's just a tree,
right. It's part of the landscape. It's the background. Whereas I think in the situation that you're describing, the tree is really being honored and revered as,
That's right.
and
And
putting
the
the
tree,
focus on the
yeah,
tree. Yeah.
yeah. And the tree was there in front of the temple, kind of like protecting the temple,
Yes.
you know? And
Yeah.
so a lot of times you think, oh, it is just a tree, but when we look at it from a different perspective, it has a different meaning.
Absolutely.
So I think it's nice that since we're all at home and we're kind of stuck at home, if
Yeah.
we take a little bit of time to just step back, maybe see things with the different, and kind of that's what I'm doing to myself. I don't know if you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Kind of rethinking how I've been living, and if this is the right way of living, or how I'm changing with the times, and I'm changing with being, with COVID, and my family's changing,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
mhm,
I mean,
mhm.
more than ever, we're, really able to really observe our surroundings, and, it's kind of what Justin was saying, when it's not there, you don't really appreciate it until it's gone. So if
Yes.
that tree wasn't there, you'd say there's something that's so missing in this space. And so it really is easy for the things that we have gotten accustomed to just fall back to the background, into the wayside, as this, we expect it to be here.
Mhm.
Where, which is a kind of a superiority, that complex that I think humans tend to have with nature.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what Dr. Seuss says a lot. It's like we have to learn to work with nature, but he
Yes.
says things like building a dam, you're not really working with nature, you're trying to control nature,
Yes.
you know? And so even when we build a house or even when we do things, if we have that little bit of respect.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why Feng Shui is such an important, has such an important place in really architecture. It looks at the land very differently. We're not trying to dominate and put the biggest house on this big plot of land so that the view is beautiful for the inhabitants. We're really trying to work with the land to make sure that we honor and respect what's here, because nature, nature trumps human always.
Mm-hmm.
Scarcity of water could become an issue one day. Climate change is here. And so unless we learn to really adapt and respect the planet that we're on,
Yeah.
it will make it harder for humans to survive, really hot climates, fires in California, floods, tornadoes. I mean, we're really pushing her to her limit, and she is responding, and humans are it's gonna be a challenge for us.
Yeah, she is responding in a big way.
Yeah, she's saying,
we gotta wake up.
Yeah. And so this is a little mini wake-up call. And I think, this is a special opportunity to really appreciate where we are and how we live.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really unfortunate because it's coming with a big toll.
Yeah. That's the sad part.
It really is.
Yeah.
But we really are all in this together. I mean, a little, village in China has such an impact on the rest of the world. And even, the Sahara Desert, the winds coming and blowing, dirt, like this is one planet. We have one planet that we're all landlocked to. I mean, planet locked to, at least. So
I think, well, like they say, you have to kind of take care of your home, and then you can start to take care of others.
Yes.
So we got to first start with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So we all have to take care of our own health, and we have to take care of our own environment, which means our home.
Yes.
And then, once we can have control of, I think, like you said, Ashley, we don't have control of nature because nature is more powerful than we are.
Yeah.
But we can control what's in our home, and to optimize it so that we can live a life that is supportive.
Absolutely.
To our vision.
I think the home is a great step to start too. I think once our home is really harmonized and we feel supported and protected, we can go out and achieve those bigger endeavors that maybe we've been wanting to achieve, starting a new business, going back to school. But if the home is in disarray and not supportive, it's more challenging to do those things.
Right.
And the home, to me, is the most beautiful place to start. I love working on people's homes and making sure that they feel so supported and really connected to everything that's in their house.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I think it's true that when people feel very comfortable in their own home and they feel like, it's a safe, supportive, nurturing environment.
Yes.
Then they're able to do things.
Yeah.
I think what happens most of the time when I do a consultation, I think I see a lot of people with really too much stuff,
Mm-hmm.
That's, I guess, the most common element.
Yes, I've seen that too.
Where when you have too much stuff, it kind of tells me that, your mind is also confused.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows a little bit of you're not sure where you want to go.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think if there's a lot of stuff, the energy gets to be a little too compressed. It's squeezed. The energy is being squeezed. And so the more space there can be for the energy to really breathe and roam, and if you can create more of a vacuum by getting rid of stuff, you can bring more things in, and things could be prosperity. They can be new opportunities, someone coming over and making, a business proposition. But the chi needs to move.
Yeah, the chi needs to move, definitely. I think what we say in form school is the chi becomes stagnated.
Yes.
So we want to let it flow.
Yeah.
Just like water, we need it to flow. So I think it's good. It's good that we have this time and time to go through your own heart.
Yeah. So it really is. I think the clutter thing is interesting too, because people just see it as the stuff, but really it is it is stagnation of one's personal energy, and that can be hard to look at. So I think having a good feng shui practitioner there to really identify and what to move and how to move it and what to rearrange to re-energize the space is so important. And you know, clutter can be a little embarrassing sometimes. You don't want people to come over, but it really is it's a manifestation of your internal self.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And
so
you know,
okay. I don't know if you read Marie Kondo's book.
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Well, her practice too has Shinto Buddhism roots, which is also something that I practice. And so, you know, everything vibrating in a certain energy and how it speaks to you. And if it speaks love or regret because I didn't lose enough weight to fit into these size 2 jeans or something.
Right.
Yeah, but she's wonderful.
Yeah, like Marie Kondo, I heard of Marie Kondo before she became famous, before she had her English book, because she was very popular in Japan. Wow. And she was a very young girl at the time. She wasn't married. She used to come up on Japanese television. And it was quite interesting because she would say, oh, just get rid of everything, just get rid of everything. But she lived in a very, very small place, you know, because she's a single woman and she's only in her 20s.
Yes.
So you don't have much stuff when you're a single woman in your 20s, you know. Not like somebody like me who, you know, had 3 children with a lot of stuff and activities, you know. So it's a very different concept. So she became quite entertaining for the Japanese public. So she was on TV quite a bit. It's very interesting how she's come to America.
Yeah, and really how we've really embraced her theory.
Yeah,
that's hard for a lot of
Japan,
people,
you know, which is
really
to me fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, yes, she's popular in Japan at that point, but you know, I think maybe in Japan they get tired. They go through people quite quickly. You know, they get tired of people very quickly.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I thought, oh, so maybe that's why she came here. You know.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I wonder if in general Americans just tend to have more stuff than the Japanese, because Japanese people live in smaller, I mean, I think live in smaller quarters. And so they've trimmed enough of the fat. Yeah. Whereas here, there's a lot more to trim off, which is, can be, you know, we have a lot of storage units and just a lot of, we have more space. If you have a bigger home, you can fill it up. Yes, absolutely. And we do that. I do that. I mean, I've done it. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, well, you know, it would be interesting for me to see, you know, what she does, especially with children. Right. You know? And when you have kids, you've got, you know, activities. And they need especially now if you're at home, if you've got art projects. My sister's an art teacher in New York. She has her own school. So she had her studio, which she had to close because of COVID, but just full of materials. And because to create art, you need that. Yeah, absolutely. You know, without the materials, you can't be creative. So I think, oh my goodness, you need stuff too. You know, you can't be, it's very difficult to be minimalist in that sense. Yeah. I think any extreme it's generally good to always try to find a good balance between the two. Yeah. Not absolutely. Too minimalist, but maybe not too much stuff. And really only one can decide if that's too much stuff or not. If someone really feels connected to everything that's in their home, and maybe to a practitioner it looks too cluttered, but if it brings them joy, that is the most important thing. Because again, it's not, Feng Shui is not prescriptive. We don't come in and say you have too much stuff. We say, I come in, I ask, are you connected to this? What does this mean to you? How do you feel when you walk in? What is your favorite memory in this room? It really is the energy. And the practitioner leaves. That's not my home. That's their home. That's how they live there. Absolutely. So it's really empowering the client to really feel connected and to feel supported so that they can go on to the next endeavor and really realize their dreams, whatever that may be, wherever it may be stuck, to unstick it. That's right. And I think a lot of people, you know, don't realize where they're stuck because they're living in it. Yes. You know, and that's where we come in and we kind of look at it, because we can look at it from a, you know, different perspective, fresh eyes, you know. Yeah, more objective. Yeah, absolutely. And it, you know, in the same way that one can feel stuck in a relationship or some kind of, you know, relationship issue and you go to a therapist or you ask your friend, hey, what do you think about this? Because, your friend isn't energetically tied to it. They can see it differently and give maybe more balanced advice. A feng shui practitioner can come in and really see your home differently than you would see it. Because if you're in it all the time, I mean, for me, the hardest place for me to feng shui as a practitioner was my own home. It took me years. Whereas I'm feng shuiing, several clients a month, and my home was so challenging. It really was.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. I have difficulty to do my own, but also because my family, your family evolves.
Yes.
So your feng shui changes as your family evolves.
Yeah.
So there's that going on. And I think we look at ourselves more critically, just because we can. And so, yeah.
Right. And it's really also taking a look at where someone is honestly, with honest eyes, like really seeing myself where I am and what it is I need and where I want to go. And is everything that's around me serving that vision, or is it not? And that's a hard thing to do for oneself. So big questions to ask and to facilitate. So.
But also, I also think a lot of people don't take the time to do that.
Right.
It's important for you to sit down to kind of self-analyze your own life, which does take time and energy. And sometimes it's painful.
Yes. Yes. And I think a good practitioner really helps to facilitate that in a gentle, supportive, really encouraging and motivating kind of way, bit by bit, because it can't be done in one day, because then there's just a shock to the system, and then someone's just infiltrated someone's home and changed everything, and so that doesn't work either. So yeah, it's a beautiful practice. Really
That's great. Yeah, I hope more people study feng shui, and I hope more people incorporate feng shui. And it's not this woo-woo stuff. A lot of people think it's superstitions.
Yeah, or gadgets or little trinkets. Like, let me hang this crystal here and nothing bad will happen to me. And so I think that's a little too flat. That has never worked, in my opinion. I think cultivation is very important. Yeah, I think it can be. But, if it works for some people.
Yeah, if they're happy, I'm happy for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, we're all different individuals, and something that's like, I'm culturally attached to certain things because of my culture.
Absolutely.
And so I grew up with that, so I believe that.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, of course. I bring that in a lot too, is like ancestral chi. Where are you from? Do you have, items from your cultural heritage that speak to you? Because we really want to be anchored to the fact that we are not alone. We have ancestors who support us. We have things in our homes that support us if they mean something to us, and really activating that. I think activation is so important.
Yeah.
And really, that's a perception of the mind.
Yes.
That's how you see it.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me. And because Justin couldn't come on today, we're so short.
I'm jealous of that lunch he's enjoying right now.
I'm jealous of where he is.
Yeah, it looks
he
beautiful.
Go out and have lunch and a beer.
I know.
That's so nice. That's so nice. Maybe we can do that eventually here too.
Yeah, time will tell.
Yeah. But thank you, and hope to see you next week, everybody. And thanks for joining us today. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.